So fragmentation was and is a problem. And talking about the top of mind thing about identity data at the moment, this, in my opinion, wouldn't solve it. It's the basis for an audience definition, but the fragmentation needs more and needs the connectivity of our technologies with the supply side, which is still fragmented and really didn't evolve much. I think next year, the identity topic will still be very relevant. I also think that retail media will come in again because they are actually the sources where identity data is created and which can be used then for cross-publisher activation, which is not the case today, but hopefully next. What is still missing? Identity data is pretty much dominated from digital media, while we as a holdco, like Omnicom Media Group, is basically running cross-media campaigns. And we are not only relying on digital definitions of audiences, but on research. So hopefully next year, we will find a solution how we can connect research data with identity data to have an audience definition in a cross-channel context, which then can be activated across those publishers, fueled through identity data from retail. We are a very big company and we have created, let's say, some assistants and chatbots which have access to our own data to have it in a privacy safe way and process the data and bring it to the people who are actually searching for this data. So it's like a knowledge navigation product. And the second use case was that in our platform, Omni, we have created the capabilities of creating faster those agents to use them in our daily marketing work, like defining audiences, like planning budgets, like defining a tactical media plan. And this were our initial investments. We do plan media across different channels. So online and offline is probably the biggest aggregation. So what we still really rely on is good research data. We do run these research data or panels at the end and surveys, also very brand and consumer and product specific. So this is providing us a broad or breadth of information, but it's still very aggregated. So another type of data which is really important to us is data from advertisers, be it identity data or be it data from other sources, like from call centers, for instance, for campaign playbooks, from creatives. And those are really, really valuable to define a good media strategy or to activate a campaign. So there are two new types of data which we need to connect, and here artificial intelligence come into play, specifically large language models. Because we all of a sudden can combine these data and have more granular information in our very strong consumer insights. And we can also connect this through other technologies with our planning and activation. So this goes all on to typical like identity data or specific audience targetings when it comes to digital. Let's have a quick pause after we know that we leverage research data, and using AI, we can connect this to first-party data, be it identity data, but also other information from customers, really to become more client, brand, and user-specific. But what do we do with this information? We need to activate those very precise audience definition. And one thing what we are really investing into is to connect these profiles with targeting information. So as a next step, we need to map those audience definitions into digital targetings. We often rely on identity data there from data partners. So if we can connect this to identity data, we can activate this in this open internet world using clean rooms, because most of the publishers already are willing to qualify their data using clean rooms. And this creates an end-to-end process from research and first-party data mapped to identity data, connected to other addressable audiences in the open internet and then activate it with transparency, full privacy, and performance measurement opportunities. If we just look at the publisher, or let's say a retail media vendor, for instance, they really have to focus to adapt those new technologies which have been created due to the constant change, like data privacy, for instance, and new technologies and methods arise, right? And they really focus on themselves, right? Because they have to maintain like their forecasts and budgets. And that's very, I'd say, isolated. Knowing that there are so many players in the German market of publishers and retail media vendors, for instance. So I'd wish that there will be capabilities in creating networks of those publishers through technology, but also through a different way of collaboration. I think it's the creative itself. It's something where we can have much more impact. So it's one thing to have a good audience definition and the placement and really performing a media plan, for instance. But it's another thing to have a really smart creative, which is really produced efficiently, and then is really driving the campaign effectiveness. And I think this is something what we still don't consider enough. We invest a lot into addressability, but we're not thinking more holistically from a consumer standpoint, how each of the creators is really driving the audience itself. So I think this is something which will have much more focus in future. We have some problems due to AI because of privacy rights and everything in there. But I'm sure we will overcome this, and this will really impact the campaigns even more.